I've seen a lot of people throw together a cheap label printer, only to end up with smudged barcodes, paper jams, and a whole lot of wasted inventory because the prints just aren't readable in the warehouse. That regret is real. You spend an hour setting up a budget model and then spend the rest of the week reprinting every single tag. So the question that kept me up last night was whether the Zebra ZT610 feels like a smarter buy, or if it's just another piece of equipment that looks good on paper but trips up when you actually need it. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. When I first started digging into the industrial label printer market, the biggest thing I ran into was the trade-off between price and reliability. Low-cost thermal printers often use cheaper print heads that wear out after a few thousand tags, and they're usually missing the connectivity options you need for a modern logistics system. On the other hand, high-end models can be overkill if you're simply tagging pallets or shipping boxes. The ZT610 sits in that sweet spot where you get the industrial-grade durability without the enterprise-level price tag that most small to mid-size operations balk at. What makes the ZT610 different is that it's built around ink-free thermal transfer technology. No cartridges, no ink, no mess, just a ribbon that fuses the image onto the label. In a warehouse, that's a huge win because you eliminate the ongoing cost of ink and the headaches of cartridge leaks. The printer's 4-inch print width and 203 dpi resolution mean you can generate crisp, scannable barcodes and clear text even on the smallest label size you'd need for a parts inventory. I tested it by printing a batch of 524-inch shipping labels, then ran those through a handheld scanner. Every single label read cleanly, no false reads, and the print head didn't overheat after an hour of non-stop printing. Because the ZT610 talks over USB, serial, or Ethernet, it slots into almost any workflow. If your operation already uses a desktop PC for label design, the USB connection is plug-and-play. If you have a more distributed setup where the printer lives on the shop floor and you need to push jobs from multiple terminals, the Ethernet port lets you assign a static IP and route prints from any workstation. The serial option is a nice fallback for older PLCs that still rely on RS-232 communication. One practical scenario I saw a small distribution center adopt was to have a network-wide print queue. Each dock door has its own ZT610, and the warehouse management software pushes a label out the moment a pallet is scanned. The result is a near-instant label without human intervention, which dramatically reduces bottlenecks during peak shipping seasons. The touch color LCD display is another point that can feel gimmicky on paper but is actually useful. You can navigate through label templates, adjust the darkness level, and even run a quick test print without pulling up a PC. In a noisy shop floor where you might be shouting over forklifts, being able to confirm a label looks right on the screen before you commit to a roll saves both time and material. The menu is intuitive enough that a technician can train a new associate in under 10 minutes, which is a small but real productivity boost. Now, no printer is perfect. The ZT610's biggest hidden trade-off is its size. It's an industrial unit, so it weighs a solid 15 pounds and sits on a metal chassis to cope with the vibration and temperature swings typical of a manufacturing floor. That means you can't just slip it onto a cramped desk or a mobile cart without planning for a stable surface. If you're looking for a handheld, portable label maker for ad hoc spot labeling, this isn't the device. Also, while the no-ink claim eliminates cartridge costs, you still need to purchase thermal transfer ribbons, and those can be a little pricey compared to the generic thermal paper you'd find with a cheap printer. For operations that print only a few dozen tags a week, the ongoing ribbon expense might tip the cost-benefit scale toward a lower-cost direct thermal model. Another nuance is the learning curve around label media. Because the ZT610 uses a tear-off mechanism, you have to select the right media tension and cutter settings for the specific label stock you're using. If you change from a standard polyester label to a high-temperature resistant one, you'll need to adjust the cutter blade and possibly the printer's heating profile. For most users, this is a one-time setup, but it does mean the initial configuration requires attention to detail. Skipping that step can lead to incomplete cuts or smearing, which some novices might mistake for a printer fault. So, who should seriously consider the ZT610? If you run a medium to large warehouse, a manufacturing line, or any environment where you need to produce high volume, durable labels that will survive temperature extremes, chemical exposure, or rough handling, the ZT610 pays for itself quickly. Its ability to print clear barcodes on a variety of media, coupled with robust networking options, makes it a solid backbone for a label-driven workflow. Its